so that your iterative method will converge towards the root of the equation. Okay, so that is what we are going to discuss today. How to find out the function phi. Is that okay to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us suppose that alpha is a root of the equation. So here the equation is f of x equals to 0, and from there we have written it as x equals to phi of x, and we have created the iterative method as xn plus 1 equals to phi of xn. Now let us suppose alpha is a exact root. Alpha is a let alpha is an exact root. Then what will happen? Alpha equals to what will happen? Tell me in terms of the equation f of x equals to 0. F of alpha.
F of alpha is equal to 0.
So same thing. X alpha equals to phi of alpha. Is not it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have obtained these two relations. Now let us try to understand, try to write down the error in n plus 1 iteration and nth iteration. Okay. So error, what is error in nth iteration? True value minus approximate value. What is that? Alpha is the true value minus what is the approximate value in nth iteration? Xn. So this is denoted as epsilon n. The error in nth iteration. Similarly, the error in n plus 1th iteration, what it will be?
Epsilon n plus 1 is equal to alpha minus xn plus 1.
Epsilon n plus 1. In short, the error is written as that way. Alpha minus xn plus 1. Okay. So I'll start from the error in n plus 1th iteration, and we'll see what will happen to that error. Because that error should be if your method is converging towards the root, then what need to happen? The error should be moving
0.
towards 0. So that is your idea. The error, somehow you have to make that error converge towards 0. That error should be moving towards 0. So that you have to find out what kind of condition you should impose on phi so that this error will be converging towards 0, converging to 0. So let us start with error in n plus 1th iteration. Alpha, so epsilon n equals to alpha minus xn plus 1. What is alpha? Alpha is phi of
Exact root.
alpha is exact root, so alpha is phi of alpha. I am writing. And what is xn plus 1? Phi of xn. Is clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Now, first condition I am imposing, see, I told you what kind of function, what kind of phi you want to choose. So I will be imposing few conditions on phi. So first condition I am imposing is phi has to be differentiable. Phi has to be differentiable. Okay. So if phi is differentiable, so if you apply, so I'll be applying Lagrange mean value theorem. So if I apply Lagrange mean value theorem, what shall I get from this line to the next line? What it will be? Alpha minus, what is Lagrange mean value theorem? F of b minus f of a equals to b minus a into f dash c. C is a point lying between a comma
B and A.
b. B comma A interval, open interval. Okay, this is LMBT, Lagrange mean value theorem. So that is what I am going to apply in this case. So alpha minus xn into phi dash certain constant Cn, okay, or C1, or depending on n, I will write down as Cn. So this Cn will be belonging to Cn is any point between alpha and xn plus 1. So Cn lies between alpha and xn. Cn lies in alpha and lies between alpha and xn. Now what is alpha again? What is alpha again? Alpha
Phi
is
of alpha.
phi of alpha. What is xn plus 1? Phi of x,
Xn.
x not xn. Xn, if you apply the iteration, you need to put n equals to n minus 1. Then only you will get right left hand side xn. Is not it? So if you put n equals to n minus 1, left hand side you are getting xn, right hand side is phi of
Xn minus 1.
xn minus 1. So it will be phi of xn minus 1 into phi dash Cn. So again
Yeah.
apply Lagrange mean value theorem. So it will be alpha minus xn minus 1 into phi dash Cn minus 1. Cn minus is another constant lying between alpha and xn minus 1 into phi dash Cn. Now what you do, you keep on applying that until you reach to the error in first iteration. So it will be alpha minus x naught, if x naught is the starting point, is not it, into phi dash c naught, phi dash c1 up to phi dash cn, where c naught, c1, cn, these are constant. Appropriately you have to choose in the interval. For example, c naught will be lying in alpha comma x naught, c1 will be lying in alpha comma x1, Cn will be lying in alpha comma xn. Okay. Now what condition next I am going to impose? I am assuming that the function has to be bounded. The function phi has to be bounded. Next condition I am imposing, function phi has to be bounded. So if it is bounded, can I write? So not function phi, derivative of function phi has to be bounded. Derivative, not phi. Derivative of function phi has to be bounded. So if derivative of function phi is bounded, what I am getting here? What is phi dash x? Mod of phi dash x? What will happen to mod of phi dash x? That will be less than certain real number, less than equals to k,
Epsilon.
not
Okay.
epsilon. I am saying that derivative of function phi is bounded. So that means phi dash x is bounded by some real number.
Yes, sir.
So I am considering that real number. I am denoting that real number by k. So what shall I get from here? From here
It
to
will
here,
be
what shall I
less
get?
than less
Less than equals to alpha minus x naught into
k power
k
n plus
power
1 n plus 1.
k plus n plus 1. So k plus n plus 1, k power n plus 1. Now see, this is a alpha minus x naught, that is a fixed quantity, that is a finite quantity, is not it? Alpha is exact root and x naught is initial guess. So alpha minus x naught, that is a fixed quantity. And so you have obtained that. So let me write down. So you have obtained epsilon n plus 1 less than equals to epsilon naught into k power n plus 1. Now what you have to do in order in order to converge the iterative method, the error should be converging to 0. So tell me
Epsilon.
for which values of k, tell me for which values of k this error will be converging towards 0.
Sir, can you repeat the last line again?
See, here we started with epsilon n and we end up with epsilon n less than equals to alpha minus x naught into k power n plus 1. So basically, in short, I am writing epsilon n plus 1 is less than equals to epsilon naught into k power n plus 1. Is the last line okay to you?
Yes, sir.
Now, epsilon naught, this is a finite quantity, fixed quantity. Epsilon naught is fixed value. Epsilon naught is finite because alpha is a exact root and x naught is initial guess. So alpha minus x naught, that is exact fixed value. So your convergence will be depending on the value of k. So epsilon n plus 1 less than equals to k epsilon naught into k plus k to the power n plus 1. Now what will happen if k is less than 1? What will happen to the, see, whenever you are considering an iterative method, the convergence is guaranteed in limiting case when you are considering the number of iteration up to infinity. But in computational purposes, you will not be able to do that. But in theoretical purposes, you have to assume that you are performing the iteration up to infinity, infinite number of times. So what will happen if k is less than 1? What
That
will
term
be,
will be 0.
that term will be 0. So take limit n tends to
Infinity.
take, so
And
limit n tends to infinity, epsilon n plus 1 is less than equals to limit n tends to infinity epsilon naught into k power n plus 1. Now remember, you are choosing phi, so you will be imposing your own restriction. You want to give restriction on phi in such a way that the iterative method is convergent. So what condition I am giving next? So suppose k is, this bound is less than 1. K is less than 1. So what will happen then? The limit n tends to infinity epsilon n plus 1 will be less than equals to 0. Is not it? And what?
correct.
So error is moving towards 0. So which condition you have to impose? That the derivative of phi function has to be bounded and bounded by less than 1 value. So derivative of phi function has to be phi dash x. So the condition on phi. So let me write down the condition on phi. So phi should be chosen, phi of x should be chosen in such a way, CHOSEN, chosen in such a way so that derivative of that phi function will be bounded by k and which is again less than 1. So this is the condition. So if you are able to find out one such phi for which the derivative of phi function is less than 1 in the considered interval in which you want to find out a root, then the iterative method xn plus 1 equals to phi of xn will be giving you the root in the interval a comma b. Is it clear to you?
Yes. So,
Now look at the function. Look at the phi function which we considered in our example. The problem was x cube minus 5x plus 1 equals to 0 and you had to find a root in the interval 0 and 1. Okay, that was our example, yes or no? Now
yes, so
one phi function was x equals to x cube plus 1 by 5. So tell me what is the maximum value of this phi. Tell me the maximum value of this phi. This is the phi, na? Maximum of phi of x in the interval 0, 1.
The maximum will be 3 by 5.
Maximum value of the phi, not phi x, phi dash x.
Oh, 5
What
dash
is
x.
that? A maximum value of phi dash x. Because that is the condition we are imposing, na?
So that will be 3 by 5 again.
Again 3 by 5. So that is less than 1, is not it? So that is
Yes.
why this method is converging towards the root. This particular phi is helping you to find the root in the interval 0 and 1. Now tell me what is the maximum value of this phi, next phi. Next phi. So what is the maximum value of phi dash x?
So it is negative value. So yeah, it will also work.
Not negative. I need to find out the mod value. If it is less than 1,
Okay.
then it's okay. Or it is coming greater than 1. That you tell me. It will be 5 by 3 something. Instead of 3 by 5, it will be 5 by 3. How to find out maximum value of phi dash x? So first you have to find out phi dash x, and then you have to consider derivative of that function. So phi double dash x equals to 0. So that will tell you the critical point of phi dash x, and then you will determine at which point the function is maximum or minimum value. You can do it. Later you do it yourself. So you'll see that the maximum value of this function is 5 by 3 in the interval 0, 1, which is greater than 1. So that is why this particular method is not converging towards the root. For some phi, for some x, the value will be less than 1, but not for all. Maximum value of phi dash x in the interval 0, 1 is 5 by 3, which is greater than 1. That is why again this phi function is not working. This phi function is not helping you to find out the root in the interval 0 and 1. And in the last case, in this particular phi, what is the maximum of phi dash x?
One, sir.
Are you sure it is 1?
Yes, sir.
So it is 4.
Okay, tell me
Sir,
how are
mod.
you for calculating maximum of phi dash x? So you have phi of x, from there you have to calculate phi dash x. So what is phi of x?
It is
X cube
x cube
minus
minus 4x plus 1.
plus 1. So what is phi dash x?
3x square minus 4.
Okay, so you have to find out maximum minimum value of this function. Maximum value of 3x square minus 4. So let us see. So phi dash, what is phi double dash x? We have to find out the critical point. So let us represent it by g.
9x.
Okay, so g
So
of
9x
x
is equal
equals
to
to
0,
3.
x is equal to 0.
So you are getting 9x. Okay, so
Just
g dash
9x.
x. Okay, g dash x equals to g dash x equals to 0 will give you 9x equals to 0. So from there you are getting x equals to 0. So once you put x equals to 0 in phi dash x,
4.
it will be minus 4. So x equals to 0 in phi dash x, you are getting minus 4. You are taking mod value, so greater than 1. So maximum of phi dash x in the considered interval is greater than 1. So that is why this is not working again. If you see the example, first if you choose x not equals to 1, then x1 equals to minus 2, x2 equals to 1, x3 equals to minus 2, and so on. Sorry. So this particular method is not again working. Okay. So the problem will be there, and you have to find out the root. So from that equation, you have to write down, you have to rewrite the equation f of x equals to 0 in the form x equals to phi of x in such a way that the derivative of the phi function in the considered interval in which you want to find out a root that has to be less than 1. Okay. Next, any doubts so far?
No, sir.
Okay. Next, I am going to discuss about order of convergence. Successive approximation method has order of convergence 1. Successive approximation method has order of convergence 1. So I have told you about order of convergence for each of the methods. Bisection method, I have told you what is the order of convergence of bisection method. Do you remember? 1. Remember, order of convergence is nothing but the relation of error in n plus 1th iteration and nth iteration. That will tell you how quickly the error is converging towards 0, how quickly the error is diminishing. Okay. So in each of the cases, we'll be trying to find out a relationship of error in n plus 1th iteration and nth iteration. That will be our aim, and that will tell us the order of convergence of each method. So first I'll write down the definition of order of convergence, and then I'll derive the order of convergence for each method. I shall not be deriving for each method. I'll be doing it for 1-2 methods, and remaining methods I'll leave it as homework. I'll give you the study material, and you have to go through yourself. If you find it difficult to understand, then I'll again discuss it in the class. So do you remember what I told you about order of convergence in bisection method? It has order of convergence 1.
1.
What is the order of convergence of second method? 1.62. Golden ratio. I told you that regular Falsy method has order of convergence 1. What is order of convergence of Newton-Raphson method?
2.
2. And order of convergence for successive approximation method is again 1. So out of all the 5 methods we have considered so far, Newton-Raphson method has highest order of convergence. Now let us first write down the definition of order of convergence, and then I will explain how that is affecting the error. Order of convergence. So I have already told you this is about relationship of error in nth iteration and n plus 1th iteration. Is it okay? This is about the relationship of error in n plus 1th iteration and nth iteration. So an iterative method is said to have order of convergence P if P is the largest positive number such that P is the largest positive number for which there exists a positive constant k or c. Let us denote it by k c. So an iterative method is said to have order of convergence p if p is the largest positive number for which there exists a positive constant c such that error in n plus 1th iteration is less than equals to c into pth power of the error in nth iteration. Okay, so if this is true for all n, then that p is called the order of convergence of the method. This p is called the order of convergence. That will determine how quickly the error is converging towards zero or diminishing towards zero. So let me again state the order of convergence. An iterative method is said to have order of convergence p if p is the largest positive number for which there exists a positive constant c such that the error in n plus 1th iteration is less than equals to c time the pth power of the error in nth iteration. What is epsilon n plus 1? Epsilon n plus 1 is alpha
minus
mod of alpha minus xn plus 1. Okay, the modulus value of the error. And what is epsilon n? Alpha minus xn. Okay, so now let us see how that is determining the error. So suppose we have two methods. In one method, so I'll write down two methods here. Method 1, and we'll see if we know the error in nth iteration, what will be the bound in n plus 1th iteration in each of these two methods. So suppose method 1 has order of convergence 1. It has, suppose we are considering hypothetical situation. Suppose it has order of convergence 1 and method 2 has order of convergence 2. It has order of convergence 2. So what is the p value in method 1? P equals to 1. And what is p in method 2? What is p in method 2?
2.
2. And let us suppose c equals to 1 in both the cases. You see in the definition of order of convergence, p is the largest positive number for which there exists a positive constant c such that this condition is satisfied. Epsilon n plus 1 is less than equals to c into epsilon n power p. So let us suppose c equals to 1 in both cases. In extreme case, c equals to 1. Let c equals to 1 in method 1, also c equals to 1 in method 2. Is it okay? Now let us suppose that error epsilon n, error in nth iteration is bounded by epsilon n, which is basically xn minus alpha. The error in nth iteration is bounded by 0.001. Suppose in both the cases, in method 1 and method 2, and we want to find out what will be the bound of the error in n plus 1th iteration and n plus 2th iteration and so on. So epsilon n in first iteration is bounded by 0.001. Same thing in method 2. Epsilon n equals to mod of xn minus alpha, and that value is bounded by 0.001. So tell me what will be the bound for epsilon n plus 1 in first method. What will be the bound for epsilon n plus 1? Epsilon n plus 1 is less than equals to c into epsilon n power p. Is not it? You look at the order of convergence definition. Is it okay or not? So mod of epsilon n plus 1 is less than equals to c time epsilon n power p. Substitute its value and tell me what is the bound of epsilon n plus 1. C equals to 1, epsilon is 0.001 power p is 1. So you are getting 0.001. So in first method, bound for epsilon n plus 1 is 0.001. What is the bound of error in second method? Epsilon n plus 1 in second method. That is less than equals to c into epsilon n power p. So substitute each value, c equals to 1, epsilon n is 0.001, and what is p? P equals to 2. So what is this value? 0.001 square, that will be 0.000001. So this is the bound of error in n plus 1th iteration in method 2. So which method has smaller error in n plus 1th iteration? Method 1 or method 2? In method 1, in n plus 1th iteration, error is bounded by 0.001. In method 2, the error in n plus 1th iteration is bounded by 10 power minus 6. So you see, what is the effect of error? What is the effect of order of convergence in the error? So if I ask you what will be the error in n plus 2th iteration, so if you do the same calculation, epsilon n plus 2, that mod will be less than equals to c time epsilon n plus 1 power p. So everything is known to you. What is c? C is 1, epsilon n plus 1, that mod value is less than 0.001, and p is 1. So again it will be 0.001, the error in n plus 2th iteration in method 1. And if I ask you what is the bound of error in method 2 in n plus 2th iteration, let's see how much. So this will be epsilon n plus 2 less than equals to c into epsilon n plus 1 power p. So c is 1, and what is epsilon n plus 1? That is 0.000001, and p value is 2. So this is 2. So that means you are getting, you see, 0.0000000011 zero should be there. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This much. So you see how quickly the error is moving towards 0 in method 2. Is not it? Did you get the point? What I'm saying? So the method which has highest order of convergence, in that case, the error will be converging towards 0 very quickly. So if one method has order of convergence 1, another method has order of convergence 2, so the method which has order of convergence 2, that will be producing the solution very rapidly in terms of number of iteration. This is all about number of iteration. I have not talked about anything else. So if your concern is about number of iteration, then you should be applying that method which has highest order of convergence. So now I will discuss how to determine the order of convergence for each method. So first one is order of convergence for each method, derivation of order of convergence. Any doubts so far?
No, sir.
Okay. So first, so order of convergence is about the relationship of error in n plus 1th iteration and nth iteration. So you should keep it in your mind. Somehow you have to find an expression of the error in n plus 1th iteration and nth iteration. If you can do that, then it's okay. From there, you will compare with this formula with this definition of order of convergence, this definition, and you will determine what is the value of p, and that will tell you the order of convergence. So first you have to find out a relationship of error between n plus 1th iteration and nth iteration. So let us consider first bisection method. it is very easy to determine the order of convergence of bisection method. So in bisection method, what we do first, we consider an initial interval a and b such that f of a into f of b is less than 0. Is not it? We choose 2 point a and b, the initial guesses, such that their functional values are opposite sign at the point a and b. Then in next interval, what we do? We bisect the interval. We consider the midpoint of a and b, which is a plus b by 2. Then we check in which subinterval the root is lying, a to a plus b by 2 or a plus b by 2 to b. Is not it? And again, then we bisect the updated interval, and we keep on doing it until we get the solution with desired accuracy. So in each iteration, we are bisecting the length of the interval in nth iteration. So for example, if you consider n plus 1th iteration, and suppose the length of the interval in nth iteration is L, then what is the length of the interval in n plus 1th iteration which contains the root?
L by 2.
L by 2. That is what you are doing. So what will be this quantity? What will be the error? Maximum error in n plus 1 iteration. If you do that, what will be the maximum amount of error in n plus 1 iteration? What will be this value? Mod of xn plus 1 minus alpha. Xn is the approximate root in n plus 1 iteration, and alpha is the exact root. What will be the error, the maximum value of the error? Remember, in each interval you are bisecting the original interval in each iteration. So error in n plus 1 iteration, that will be bounded by half time the error in nth iteration. Yes or no? In each iteration you are bisecting the original interval. In n plus 1th iteration, the length of the interval will be L by 2 if that is the length of the interval in nth iteration. So error also will be bounded by half time of the error in nth iteration. So this is the relationship in bisection method. Nothing else is there to derive it. You have to first understand what is happening. In each iteration, you are bisecting the interval. So the maximum amount of error will also be bisected. So if you compare this expression xn plus 1, so basically that is epsilon n plus 1 is less than equals to half time epsilon n. So if you compare this expression with the definition of order of convergence, what you are getting? Compare it with epsilon n plus 1 less than equals to c time epsilon n power p. So what is the value of p?
1.
1. So p equals to 1. So that is telling you the order of convergence of bisection method is 1. Next, I'll be deriving the order of convergence of Newton-Raphson method.
Sir,
Mhm.
the C is bounded, or it can be anything greater than 1 or less than 1.
No, that has to be finite quantity. C also has to be here. In particular case, what is C? C is half. Look at the
Yes, sir.
definition. If C is infinity, then error will not be bounded, na?
Sir, not infinity, but it can be greater than 1, right?
It can be greater than 1. It can be greater than 1.
Okay, sir.
You see, there exists a positive number such that for which there exists a positive constant C. So C की वैल्यू greater than 1 हो सकते हैं, 0 से बड़ा होना चाहिए और फाइनाइट वैल्यू होना चाहिए. Let me derive the order of convergence of Newton-Raphson method, then you will get the idea how to derive it. Because for bisection method, it was very easy. So Newton-Raphson method. So before I derive it, I'll ask you a few things. tell me what is Taylor series expansion, because in each of the derivation I'll be using Taylor series expansion. What is f of x plus h? The Taylor series. Tell me. F of x plus
F dash
h times f dash x plus h square by factorial
H
to f double dash x and so on. Is not it? Tell me what is the expansion for this 1 by 1 minus x? What is the series expansion of this function? This 1 by 1 minus x. 1 plus x plus x square plus x cube and so on. Is it okay to you? These two things?
Sir, what is that in denominator to the h square?
A square by factorial 2.
Oh, factorial 2 is that. Okay.
This is the Taylor series expansion, na? F of x plus h times f dash x plus h square by factorial 2 f double dash x plus h cube by factorial 3 f triple dash x and so on.
I just could not understand the sign.
Okay, okay, fine. And this formula, do you recall it? 1 by 1 minus x, this expansion.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so these two results will be used. So now let us see what is the error in. So first you tell me what is Newton-Raphson method. Tell me the formula. In our method is, what is xn plus 1? Xn plus 1 equals to xn minus f of xn by f dash. Is not it? You are not saying anything. Is it
Yes, sir.
the
Yes, sir.
Newton-Raphson method, the formula? Xn plus 1 equals to xn minus f of xn by f dash xn? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
You people are not at all responding. Only one student is doing out of 59 of you. Anyway, so this is the result. This is the formula we have to use in Newton-Raphson method. So let us use the notation. What is epsilon n plus 1? That is xn
Is
minus
alpha
xn plus
minus
1 minus
this
alpha,
one.
and epsilon
Yes,
n is equals to xn minus alpha.
xn.
The error in n plus 1th iteration and nth iteration. Okay. So what is xn? What is xn then? Xn plus 1 and xn. What is xn plus 1? Epsilon n plus 1 minus plus alpha.
Plus alpha.
Minus plus does not matter. Sign. Here xn will be equals to epsilon n
Alpha
plus alpha.
plus.
So these two values I will be substituting in the formula of Newton-Raphson method. So this is 2a, this is 2b, and this formula is 1. So use these two values of 2a and 2b in 1. So from 1 we get, okay, so tell me what is left hand side? Epsilon
It
n
is
plus 1,
n plus 1 minus
not
epsilon.
minus, plus alpha.
Okay.
Xn equals to epsilon n plus 1 plus alpha equals
Is
to, what is
equal to
xn? Epsilon n
alpha
plus alpha, okay,
minus
minus f
f
of
of x over f dash of
f
x.
of what is xn? Tell me xn. Xn is epsilon n plus alpha
Okay.
by f dash
Dash epsilon n.
epsilon n plus
Yes, sir.
alpha. Is it okay, this line?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now alpha and alpha will be cancelled out from both sides. Let me use other color.
Yes, sir.
This alpha and this alpha will be cancelled out. So left hand side we have epsilon n plus 1. Right hand side we have epsilon n minus f of alpha plus epsilon n by f dash alpha plus epsilon n. Is it clear to you? The next line.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we'll be using Taylor series expansion. You know the formula, huh? So I'll be using Taylor series expansion, nothing but Taylor series expansion. So epsilon n plus 1 on the left hand side, right hand side it is epsilon n minus Taylor series expansion of this will be f of alpha plus epsilon n times f dash alpha plus
Plus
epsilon n square by
epsilon
factorial 2
square
double dash
dash
alpha and so on.
plus
And what will be in the denominator?
it will be f dash of alpha.
It will start with f dash alpha. Huh? So because the original function is sorry, original function is f dash, so it will be f dash alpha plus epsilon n
Plus
into f double dash
f
alpha
double dash alpha plus
plus epsilon n
epsilon
square
square factorial.
factorial to f triple dash alpha and so on. Okay.
Okay.
Fine. It will not take much time after this. So epsilon n plus 1 on the left hand side. Here, what is f of alpha value? What is this value? Alpha is exact root. So f of alpha will be
0.
0. So now, so this is epsilon n minus, now from numerator and denominator I will be taking f dash alpha common. Do it. So I am taking f dash alpha common from the numerator as well as denominator. So f dash alpha, if you take common, it will be epsilon n plus epsilon n square by factorial 2 into f double dash alpha by f dash alpha, and same thing will be happening to remaining terms.
Yes.
Okay. Now what will happen to the denominator? From denominator I will be taking f dash alpha common. So f dash alpha I am taking common, so that will give you 1 minus, not minus, plus epsilon n into f double dash alpha by f dash alpha
F dash alpha. Yes.
plus epsilon n square by factorial 2 into f triple dash alpha by f dash alpha and so on.
Yes.
Okay. Now here this will be cancelled out from numerator and denominator. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now one thing you should remember: epsilon is very small quantity, that is less than 1. If it is greater than 1, that is not at all error. Huh? It is something. It is something else. Epsilon is very small quantity. Epsilon is error. Error is very small quantity. So what will happen to epsilon n square? That will be much smaller.
It will get neglected. Yes, sir.
What will happen to epsilon cube? It will be again much smaller than epsilon square and so on. So in somehow we'll simplify the right hand side, and we'll only be keeping the smallest surviving order. We'll simplify the right hand side and we'll be keeping smallest power, smallest expression. Remaining terms will be cancelled out. Remaining term will be neglected. So left hand side we have epsilon n plus 1. What is on the right hand side?
Epsilon n minus.
Okay. Now let us make it bit simple. By simple means make make it look like simple. So I'm replacing a by f dash alpha, f double dash alpha by 2 times f dash alpha. So f dash alpha by 2 times f double dash alpha by 2 times f dash alpha is represented by a. So the numerator will be epsilon n plus a times epsilon n square plus so on.
Sir,
Remaining
there
term.
is a negative sign. Negative sign.
How there is a negative? Oh, this one is negative sign. Okay, this one is a
Yes.
negative sign. Fine, no problem. So accordingly, we will be updating the remaining terms. So this is the numerator term. What will happen to the denominator? 1 plus
Plus
2 times epsilon n,
epsilon
it
n.
will be 2 times because 2 is
Yeah.
not there. So we'll multiply 2 and
Yes.
I'll give 2 here. So we'll get 2 times epsilon n into a. So
Plus
2a times epsilon n, and what will be the third term? Accordingly, we'll be updating that.
yeah.
If we record, we'll write down later. If it is a if lowest order term is something else, we'll be neglecting that. So this is the expression. Okay. Now, so here this is of the form. So this particular term 1 plus something that I'm writing as x. This underlying part that has infinitely many terms, that is I'm writing as a, considering as x. Okay. So if you consider left hand side, we have epsilon n plus 1, right hand side we have epsilon n minus epsilon n plus a time epsilon n square and so on into 1 by 1 minus, not minus, 1 plus x power 1 by 1 plus x. Is it okay to you? What is x? X is 2a epsilon n plus remaining terms. This underlined part is x. Did you get it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So from there we'll try to simplify it. So epsilon n minus epsilon n plus a time epsilon n square and so on. Now tell me what will be the expression for this 1 by 1 plus x. This will be 1 minus x plus x
Yeah.
square minus
Minus
x
x
cube
cube
and
plus.
so on. Okay. So
Yes, sir.
I'll substitute those values. So remember, in the whole expression, we only be keeping the lowest order term. Right hand side will be simplifying and we'll be keeping only the lowest order term. So this is epsilon n minus epsilon n plus a time epsilon n square and so on into 1 minus. What is minus x? What is minus x?
Sir, it is minus 2a epsilon
Minus 2a
n.
epsilon n
Epsilon
and few
and then
more terms
remaining
will be
terms.
there with minus sign. Let me write down inside this second bracket or this with other color 1 minus so on, and next is x square. So each term in x will be multiplied, each term will be squared, is not it?
Yes, sir.
And then those terms will be multiplied by left hand side, and in this underline expression, in underline expression lowest order term is epsilon n. So after multiplying it will become epsilon cube, the lowest order term. So
Correct.
that is why I am neglecting all those, because I know epsilon cubes will not be there. Either it will be epsilon n or epsilon n square or any in between thing. So remaining term I am not writing. If you wish, you can write down here in this expression. I am not writing the remaining term in x. I am not writing the term for x square minus x cube. If you wish, you can write down. But at the end, we will be neglecting all those things. I know that is why I'm not writing, but you should write few terms. So let us simplify it. Epsilon n minus, now do the multiplication and you write down few terms after multiplication. You are multiplying to infinite number of terms. I do not have much time. I have to quickly finish it. It will not take much time. So if you do the multiplication, you will get epsilon n into 1, that is epsilon n, then epsilon n into minus 2a epsilon n, so that will give you minus 2a epsilon n square. Okay, and few more terms will be there if you do the multiplication with the first term on the left hand side. Basically first I'm multiplying epsilon n with the term here.
Okay.
Then what I'll consider, I'll consider the next term on the here, epsilon n square, and I'll multiply each term on the right hand side. So that will give you
Plus a
plus a epsilon n square, a epsilon n square plus, and next will be minus 2a square epsilon n cube, minus 2a epsilon n cube, is not it? Minus 2a a square epsilon n cube and so on. So do the simplification. Epsilon n minus epsilon n, and here it is minus 2a epsilon n square and a epsilon n square. So what it will be? Minus a epsilon n square, and next term is minus 2a square epsilon n cube, and few other terms will be there. All of them will be more than, their order will be more than 2. So I'll be neglecting them. I only will be keeping the lowest order term on the right hand side. So let me write down again epsilon n minus epsilon n plus a epsilon n square minus minus plus 2a square epsilon n cube and so on. So this epsilon n will be cancelled out, yes or no? So we are having a epsilon n square plus 2a square epsilon n cube and so on. Now if epsilon is a small quantity, epsilon n square will be smaller and epsilon n cube and higher order will be even smaller. So I will be neglecting all higher order terms. I will only be keeping the lowest surviving order. So that will be approximately equals to a into epsilon n square. And what is on the left hand side? We started with
epsilon n plus 1.
N plus 1. So epsilon n plus 1 is less than equals to a time epsilon n square. And what is a? That has to be a finite value. What is a? A was f double dash alpha by 2 times f dash alpha. Alpha is the exact root. So f double dash alpha will be finite value, and 2 times f dash alpha, that also be finite value. So a is a finite value. Okay. So if you compare it with epsilon n plus 1 equals to c times epsilon n power p, what you are getting? What is the value of p?
P is equal to 2.
P equals to 2, comparing with p equals to 2. So that is why the Newton-Raphson method, we are saying it has order of convergence 2. So this is how you will be deriving the order of convergence. It is a bit tricky. Basically, it has no use once you know it, but to know what is the order of convergence, you have to do the calculation. So I have shown you what is the order of convergence of Newton-Raphson method. Did you get the idea? What you are doing basically? You are deriving the formula of the error, or the relationship of error in n plus 1th iteration and nth iteration. Similarly, you will have to derive the order of convergence of second method.
Sir,
Sir,
we have a class from 9, sir. Lab.
Okay. I'll be finishing the class. You may leave.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.